Don't know how to good answer now.
I have no idea how to use this camera.
He never had a good question. He was terrible too.
Go ahead. Going to the beach was updated. 500 votes. Right. What do you think?
I'm trying to zoom and I cannot figure it out.
Yesterday it was all the women.
But that didn't make no sense to me. Son of the beach. Not people voted since yesterday. Oh, what's the vote? Now it's Mayor McIntyre. Really? Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. Who's the boss? Let me think. I think Helen Light.
Whoops, I'm looking for the zoom, so...
Judy left. No, it was Angela. Oh, the mother. Okay.
And I can't find
That's not
it.
who they voted for. The mother. No, I voted for the mother. She was annoying. That was a little annoying kid, right? A little boy, Jonathan. All right, I can see that. I can see that. Jonathan Bauer. Yeah. Second? You know who the second was? The mother. Oh, true.
Okay, I think I got it.
Either
Yeah.
one. No, that's silly.
Very stupid. The people who
Who is it? Captain Kirk. No. No. Come on. He's Sulu. Yes, Captain. Sulu came in third. Really? Who came in second? You're
Ethan James, 9.5 weeks old.
So let him struggle with that for a while.
Yeah, all right.
Through her eye. Who's Dan Tribble? The Tribbles. Who's that? The Tribble episode where the Tribbles...
Do a close-up of his face.
It's silly. You can't kill off Tribbles.
That's just one of the problems.
Ethan.
Go ahead.
Ethan James.
And then, kill the Tribbles. That was one episode. You don't kill the Tribbles.
I would try to make him smile, but I do not want any evidence
Actually ejected him into space.
that I make stupid voices.
But I kind of did kill him. Didn't they killed him.
Alright, well, this is about as exciting as it gets today.
Right. And the last one I got is the Simpsons.
See you later.
I don't know that show.
Cutie. Well, now that we figured out this camera, every single day we're going to have footage of him. This is Ethan and it's Jiminy. Ethan James. Think I put it too close? Too close.
It's gonna work for one of those people. Clap hands too.
He was giggling.
Ethan comes home.
Is that on?
Ethan comes home. He's in a bad mood. He's in a bad mood today.
He's got the video camera on.
Oh God. Woo! Forever to remember that way.
Got the tongue in the cheek like.
Oh God.
Like sit. 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 Down. Down.
Very obedient.
There's everybody. Come with me, the dog. Interesting, he'll never be afraid. Because he's got him. Pat just threw to peck that Timmy out. Sit there. Sit.
Let him look at him.
Sit there. Sit.
No, not really.
Sit. Look at the size of the animal next to him, and he's just ignoring him.
Pax, are you from Holbrook?
Let you. Oh. Watch this baby. Come here. Sit. Sit.
Too busy watching Pax to do the kickstart, Jim.
Interesting thing. There he goes. Hi. He's a good boy.
All right, let's see if he goes over. Woo!
Yay! Yay! Oh, that's such a good trick. He's such a good trick. He's such a big boy. Yes, you are. That's my boy. He's such a big boy. You are. You're such a big boy. You are. No more tickling, huh? You don't feel like tickling. Hello, little cheeksy.
Yeah, roll him over and I'll try to get him from down there.
Good pain. Daddy comes on. Good pain. Daddy comes on. Oh. Oh. The cough. Tickles. Look at him. See? Did it tickle you? Agoo. Did it tickle you? Did that tickle you? Oh, such a big boy.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Up. Halfway.
He's stuck.
He's stuck.
Was that so traumatic? I see you. Even James. Want to try one more time?
Sure, why don't we just torture him? Just torture him. One more time. Good practice for you.
He's getting good at this being on his belly thing.
See, it didn't take him long at all.
Oops.
That wasn't so bad.
Hi, boy. Hi, boy. Hello. See?
She was born in July, and he was born in September.
I'm telling you, she looks more like an infant.
He's very conscious, like I said.
He's very grown up. He is very...
grown up. Look at him. I mean, he's like 100%.
One custom, the Central and Eastern European or Ashkenazic tradition, a child is usually named after a deceased relative whose memory the parents wish to honor. The other custom is the Sephardic, from the Middle Eastern countries, where a child may be named after the living. Carrying on the name of an honored grandparent, a great-grandparent, an aunt, or an uncle helps to keep the many fond memories of that person or those persons alive. In Judaism, a A name is not merely a conglomeration of letters put together as a convenient way to refer to someone. Ideally, it's a definition of the individual, a description of his or her personality, and an interpretation of his or her traits. Usually a person bearing a particular name we hope will live up to the potential that that name expresses. The Arizal writes that a nature and behavior of a person, whether good or bad, can be found by analyzing the name. The name's letters are an indication of the individual's character or personality. And in Judaism, the Kabbalists call this the gematria, the numbers. There is also a spiritual connection between the name of an individual and his or her neshama, his or her soul. The word neshama stems from the Hebrew word neshima, meaning breath, for it is the breath of God that gives life to a human being. A soul's essence is divine, and a person's name defines this essence. It's interesting to note that the middle letters of neshama, which are the shin and the mem in Hebrew, spell the word shame, which means name. Indeed, some have written that the higher soul comes to the child during the giving of the name. And before we spiritualize the religious definition of Ethan's name, I want to mention that the patriarchs and matriarchs were named to express the meaning of the name. Today we are naming Ethan after two beloved family members of blessed memory. First is Ethan's maternal great-grandfather, James Wool, whose Hebrew name Yaakov, meaning supplanter or protected. And the next name will be given to honor his beloved great-aunt, Sandy Galst. The name will be Shmuel Chaim. Shmuel meaning God hears, and Chaim, which most of us know means life. I'm sure that Yaakov Shmuel Chaim will grow to be a handsome man, loving, compassionate, and possessing an inner strength, and a person who will always listen to his inner spirit. May he always be an inspiration to his wonderful parents, to Janie and to Paul. In Jewish tradition, we speak of three different kinds of names. First is the name given to us at birth by our family, by our parents. Second is the name given, or the name that a person writes for him or herself as a human being. The third is the name that a person writes for him or herself as a family person. If we realize that this is the starting point in Ethan James's life, his life's adventure, and cherish the moment and the significance of his name, we too can grow with him from strength to strength. And I know that he's agreeing with me right now.
His timing really stinks, I tell you.
No, you know, when I called the other night, he was on the same path. In the years...
I told everyone
He's not crying, he's just being vocal. In the years that come, I'm sure that Ethan James, Yaakov Shmuel Chaim, will always be a source of great joy and pride to Janie and Paul Bonnie, and to his grandparents, Joan and Ronald Rubinstein, and Diane and then Bill Bonnie. When I hear Bill Bonnie, I think of Billy the Kid, and I discussed that with Diane earlier. To his aunts and uncles, to Gary Rubinstein, Scott Bonnie, Patrick Bonnie, Jennifer and Mickey Mullen, and to his cousins Liz Galst and Christopher Rapuzzi, and to all of his family, friends, and humankind. And may Ethan James enjoy a life filled with blessings from God, and may he be fulfilled and content as the very special person that he is meant to be. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Before we continue our ceremony, there are some special people who would like to say a few words. First, I'd like to call upon Richard Wool to speak about his father, James. Up there, please. You can use the same microphone. Okay, good. Good. I'm good at using microphones. This is a wonderful day for all of us and our families, and friends. The naming of the baby for my father was something that my father knew was going to happen. I guess Janie and Paul took the Sephardic aspect of things, and we're going to name the middle name for my father for the living. Unfortunately, as most of you know, a few days before the baby was born, my father passed away. And but he knew everything that was going on, and he was happy about everything. And when I'm around the baby and call Janie and the baby is laughing, well, that's my father laughing. And my father is here with us today through this baby. My father always had a way of handling things in a funny way. He handled things in a way that would make people laugh. For his whole life, he really didn't know his Jewish name, and found out his Jewish name was, he thought it said Yaakov. For the last 10 years, when anybody asked him what his Jewish name was, he would tell them it was Jerkovs. And that's the way he made people laugh. He would just do that, and so someplace in heaven today he's laughing, and he's seeing all of us here, blessing this wonderful child, and I thank you for him, and I thank you for coming for the baby. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Everyone has the same birthday as Grandpa.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
We share the same birthday.
All three of us.
Now I'd like to call upon Liz Galst, who also would like to say a few words about her mom, who Ethan is also named after.
Okay, so I'm not a public speaker.
You are today, I mean.
In what would become the later part of her life, my mother developed, or perhaps you could say recovered, a love of the name Samuel. She confided in me that she regretted she hadn't named my older brother Samuel, or at least called him David Samuel instead of David Stewart, after his grandfather, my father's father, Samuel David. And when John and Judy wanted to find a name that began with the letter S for their second son, S after Judy's mom, Sue, my mother suggested Samuel. I don't know what in particular she liked about the name. Maybe the way the sound of it rolls around in the mouth, or maybe it conjured up for her the Jewish men of her parents' generation. Or perhaps, like the names we intuitively love, certain names and not others, it just felt right to her. A good, solid name, Samuel. In our family, in a slight divergence from tradition, we often name a child not the exact name of the person who went before them. In our family, we eat lemon meringue pie at the New Year instead of the traditional honey cake. But the pie, like the year, is round and sweet and tart too. In our family, we tend to call a child a name inspired by their predecessor. My mother's Hebrew name was Hannah Sima. Hannah meaning gracious and merciful, Sima meaning treasure. An equivalent name might be, as the cantor suggested to me, Yochanan, but I think she would have liked Samuel better. So, where is he? Shmuel Chaim, may you be as full of life as your name Chaim implies. May you be a gracious, merciful treasure like your namesake. May my mother's courage, tenacity, love of family and of Jewish tradition serve as an inspiration to you as it has to all of us. And may her name for you and for us be for a blessing.
Very nice. Also, I'd like to mention the godparents, Nancy Kroll and Tom Frankelis. And in Judaism, I don't know how many of you know, but the godparents pay for all the education. This is a Jewish custom, very strong. I just wanted you to realize it. At this time, because lighting candles in a Jewish home is traditionally a woman's mitzvah, candles seem appropriate for this ceremony. And we'll be lighting the candles now. One for Paul, one for Jamie, and they will take their candles and light one for Ethan. I'll let you do it. middle one they light for their son Ethan. And now we're going to offer a couple of prayers.
There is a new light in our hearts and in our home. These candles celebrate the birth of our child. Out of the creative darkness of the womb he has come. These candles celebrate his emergence into light. Blessed is the woman who bears a child, for she knows how love covers pain. Blessed is the man who fathers a child, for he makes a bridge between earth and heaven. Child of light, you know not yet the love and joy overflowing from our hearts.
With all of my heart, with all my soul, with all my might, I thank you, God, for the gift of this wonderful child. I thank you for a healthy pregnancy, a safe delivery, and a speedy recovery. With all my heart, with all my soul, with all my might, I pray for the continued health of this child. I pray for him to be strong in mind and body, to grow steadily and sturdily in a home filled with joy. I pray for him to become a person who greets the world with passion, courage, humility, humor, and patience. With all my heart, with all my soul, with all my might. I pray for God to watch over me and my family. I pray for the ability to love and nurture this child, to provide for him, to educate him, to understand him, and to allow him the freedom to grow.
Now I want to make a special Misha Barak, a special prayer on behalf of Ethan James. Misha Barak Avatena V'imotena Abraham Yitzchak V'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel V'Leah Hu Yivarechet HaYoledet Chasya Bat Raphael V'Fegel V'et Benad Yaakov Shmuel Chaim Ben Chasya Hanolad La B'Mazel Tov Ba'avur Sheba'ala V'Aviv Mevarech Otam B'Noder L'Tzedakah Ba'Uram Yehi Ratzon Sheyizku Orav V'Gadlo V'Torah V'Chupa U'Masim Tovim V'Nomar Amen. May he who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless Janie Bonnie and her newborn son, who has been named Yaakov Shmuel Chaim Ben Chasya, and may the parents, Janie and Paul, rear their son to manhood, imbued with love of Torah and the performance of good deeds, and may they be privileged to bring him to the wedding canopy, and let us all say, Amen. This time I'd like to present the parents with a certificate, which I hope maybe they'll frame and it reads, may the one who blessed our ancestors bless this boy, Ethan James Bonnie, son of Janie and Paul, who was named at the Ocean Club, Long Beach, New York. I thought it was very nice to be at the Ocean Club. Date of birth, September the 6th, 2000, corresponding to the 6th day of Elul on the Jewish calendar, 5,760. It makes you kind of feel old, doesn't it? And the date of the naming, December 3rd, 2000, corresponding to the 6th day of Kislev, 5,761. And all of us here, the Jewish, know that Kislev is the month that Hanukkah falls in. So it's a we're coming into a very joyous period here. And I think it's very appropriate that Ethan is being named during this time. And now, before we continue, a cup of wine symbolizes joy. We'd like to do the prayer over the wine. Now, who's going to drink this? I'm pouring for me, but you can say it. The full cup, by the way, is a symbol of joy. So if you ever go to a Passover Seder, remember that. It's the full cup. You know, you think, oh, a little bit. Okay, why don't you say it with me together? Well, you're going to say it with me together. Will you repeat it? Baruch, Atah, Adonai, Eloheinu, Melech, Haolam, Borei, Bari, Agafen. You take a sip. You can take as much as you want. Go ahead, that's it? Okay. Chicken. Very good. I'd like everybody now to join in and just repeat after me the Shechayanu. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Shehecheyanu V'kiyamanu V'higiyanu Lazman Hazeh. In the English, blessed is the Lord our God.
Blessed is the Lord our God,
King of the world.
King of the world,
For giving us life.
life,
For sustaining us.
sustaining us,
And enabling us to reach this very happy day.
enabling us to reach this very happy day.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to just do the priestly benediction. What happened to Ethan?
He's right here. Sleeping.
Good. And now I'll sing it real soft.
You can sing loud.
Can I sing it real
Go
soft?
on.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Amen. The Lord bless you and guard you. The Lord look kindly upon you and be gracious unto you. And the Lord bestow favor upon you and give you his most precious gift of all, the gift of peace. Peace for Israel and peace for all the world. Let us say,
Amen.
Amen. Those of you who know will join me in Mazel tov.